Starting school,
I got new classmates.
wrought with controversy.
We were excited to start today.
This is a crisis. We're crisis schooling.
As students, parents, and teachers navigate the new classroom during the pandemic.
All they've learned this whole time is about, Tiger King and TikTok dances.
And state leaders offer guidance, but no enforcement.
We're not ignoring the benchmarks.
Parents, teachers, and students stand divided over how to safely return to school.
As a mom, it's kind of like a circus.
We're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat.
This is everything you need to know about going back to class in 2020.
Whole new appreciation for in-person learning.
I'm Katie Wilcox, executive producer, and joining me is reporter Trisha Hendricks, and you've been an education reporter for years. So Trisha, just start out telling us kind of this big picture. You've talked to teachers and students and parents. What are they facing during these times with school?
Well, Katie, it really depends on who you talk to. I mean, there's really no gray area. It's either kids and parents are super excited and stoked to just go to school regardless of whether they have to sanitize in and out of the classroom, wear those masks, social distancing.
It was really fun.
It was nice to be back and see all my friends and the teachers.
They all said that academically it was 100 times easier to be in class.
They just want to get back into class. So a lot of people are really excited. On the other hand, kids are afraid.
It's so frustrating when you have to stay at home, just not being at school. I've been doing online school, and I haven't been really that focused on that. And our mom's a nurse, so it's scarier. I'm excited to meet my teacher, but I'm also scared. What if someone has COVID and doesn't know it and comes to school?
We understand that because we have been at home for so long. You finally get used to that as the new norm. And then now we're changing once again. So I think bottom line, we're going to get really good at changing, over and over again in the name of safety.
So we know that we're a local control state and that a lot of districts are set to open. How are parents trying to weigh whether or not to support their students in person or online only?
So I think in person, obviously, people are fearing the virus. A lot of parents, they're watching 12 News. They're looking at the CDC website and they're listening to what our state leaders, Governor Ducey and our state health leaders are saying. And it's really a day-by-day thing because, thousands of cases down to hundreds of cases. I mean, obviously, that is a glimmer of hope for all of us. And it feels so good to even say those words. But knowing again that if we're not careful, if we're not, definitely being using those precautionary measures to avoid another resurgence, that, I don't even want to go there, but another stay-at-home order or a resurgence, or, we just want to do what we're told. That way we can hopefully get back to some sort of normalcy.
Well, and you brought up a great point. So, we look at our state leadership for a lot of this, and the Arizona Department of Health Services, the state superintendent of schools, released a series of benchmarks. And what they said when they released that is no school in no county met those benchmarks yet.
We're not ignoring the benchmarks. I mean, many of the districts are close on the benchmarks, and they're making decisions. I support the principals, I support the superintendents, and I support the parents. I know they have the best interests of the kids at heart, and so do the teachers.
It's my position that our school districts should be adhering to these public health metrics that have been vetted by medical experts and epidemiologists.
But what we know as of recording this, some schools have opened for in-person learning. One that we covered a lot is Queen Creek, and you actually got to tour Queen Creek. So what were they doing differently to prepare for this?
And so that was, I believe, one of the first inside shoots that we had. And there were, less than 5 people, social distancing, masks. I was asking questions from the doorway when the teacher was clear across the room. Everyone was masked, but also knowing that it's one of the first schools in Arizona can also raise eyebrows too, because the last thing we want is to have to reverse everything because it didn't work.
Nobody's ever been through this before.
It's hard because you walk down the halls and all the bulletin boards are bare and you don't hear the laughter.
There's a need for us to be attuned with each other to not only walk through this in a successful manner, but also to support each other and to walk through it in a healthy manner as well.
That's something to keep in mind too. But very definitely safety measures in place, masks, hand sanitizer at the beginning of every hallway, every classroom, kind of the two-way tape, so it shows which direction you're walking. Social distancing is a must.
A lot of these schools are taking on a huge cost in trying to prepare themselves. What have you learned about how much it costs to keep a school clean and to be prepared for kids coming back into the classroom?
For starters, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So with the Madison School District, they definitely are taking this serious, as all the districts are, but more than $300,000 going into safe learning for kids.
Safety is our number one priority, and our first defense is obviously proper hygiene. It is coming out of district funds, but we're hoping to get reimbursed, whether that's through FEMA, the CARES Act, the Enrollment Stabilization Grant. So we are applying for those things and hoping to receive reimbursement on anything that is a COVID-19 related purchase.
And I mean, I saw some cleaning equipment that I had never seen before, like backpacks and different sprayers and different things for school buses and covers for door handles and things that I never grew up seeing in the schools.
A handheld disinfectant machine that between each route, they'll go through seat by seat and all high-touch areas and make sure that they're disinfecting the entire bus.
And pre-registering for seats was another district that I talked to make sure, that was Cartwright, to make sure that they have every kid accounted for. So if you're not taking the bus, we want to know that too. And if you are, we want you to sit in this assigned seat so that we know, we took your temperature, you have the mask, you sanitized. So it's like a 10-step process before you even step foot on the bus. And then once they arrive on campus, it starts long before they even get near another, classmate.
It's wild. It's wild when you go through that, to think hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's the investment you put in before school even starts. But we know there's also been a huge investment in distance learning. Talk to me a little bit about those families that, are going to be staying at home, whether their district has decided or they have decided, but maybe didn't have the technology.
I get emotional talking about this because there was I might have to take a minute.
I've been struggling and trying to figure out how I can make sure that internet never gets disconnected because the kids have to do school.
Certain motels are being used as shelters for certain homeless families.
With the virus and stuff, it's really made a huge impact, especially on the lower income families.
Every little bit adds up. And when you have job loss or limited hours, whether you're an essential worker or not, and you have 3 kids that don't want to be known as the kid that's living in a motel, you're going to be grateful when you see these faces, masked or not, showing up with backpacks full of a hotspot and a laptop for each one of them, because now the kids don't have to worry about if they're going to lose Wi-Fi signal in the middle of the teacher's lesson.
A lot of relief, and oh my gosh, it's a lot of relief. The program, Rita especially, I've dealt with her most, have been just amazing.
While a lot of the focus is, I don't want to wear a mask, or, I'm nervous, there are families out there dealing with homelessness that are talking about, how am I going to eat dinner and get Wi-Fi? So I think that was a tearjerker, because when she got choked up, I got choked up.
I know there's a lot of families out there that don't reach out because they're embarrassed and ashamed, and they don't need to be.
That's the Mesa Family Support Network that is rallying, where they have people at every school district, and they're meeting the needs of kids that not just don't have laptops, but that are dealing with serious mental issues, whether they were before COVID or whether COVID's contributed to some of those. It's very neat to see people in action. The Crisis Response Network is another one where you can call them anytime, 24/7, and they will make sure that people get you what you need free of cost. So I think that's just so important that we bring that to our audience.
These are our family members. These are our friends who are struggling with losing jobs and apartments and not having enough food.
Yeah, there's a lot of darkness and sadness, but there are also resources out there to help.
Trisha, I think that's such an important point. This pandemic has not just been about getting sick, right? It's been about job loss. Now these families are logging in, and hopefully more and more of them have the capability to do that because of the equipment like you saw being handed out. But even once they log on, there can still be some challenges there. What What are some of the tips that you've heard about staying safe online?
So even today, I talked with a cybersecurity expert, and there are threats. It's not just, and a disclaimer for parents out there listening, if you have kids nearby, cover their ears. We hear about the naked man hacking into the Zoom classes. We hear about the gun being shown during, the online class. So I think one of the things that he suggested is that, from the beginning, let's do this together and let's do it safe. So something I never even thought of, if your child gets an email or something that looks like it's from another classmate, that's what hackers are using to then get in. And then through your iPad or iPhone or however they're conducting class online, the Google Chrome, they can steal, passwords, bank accounts, they can find out where you live and all kinds of things. So one of the things that he was saying is, don't use your child's birth date and year as a password. Don't use something that's super familiar. Always make sure that you have, the symbols, letters, numbers, capitalized, all of the things that we're told to make a strong password. So that was one of them. And then just to never assume, oh, that's just, Johnny or Sue, or, it could be a predator. It could be something that looks completely innocent, and it could be catastrophic.
We've now entered this new realm of having kids on computers so often. We've covered this teacher sick outs.
To have to sit there and constantly fight to get our district to listen to the bare minimum public health recommendations, it's just not a situation I can teach in.
We've covered protesting, reopenings, or not opening soon enough on both sides.
We need school! We need school! We were excited to start today. We had our backpacks out. We bought our school supplies.
I felt like I had been exposed, definitely exposed. I knew that there was going to be some sacrifice between home and school, but at the end of the day, it wasn't worth that actually going to school.
We've covered truancy, as some of these kids maybe aren't logging in on time.
Well, I could swipe and I could see all my friends.
It wasn't logging in on any of the browsers. By 1:30, 1:40, all the kids were kind of by themselves. A random student was the host. The teacher was gone.
It's probably about 1/3 of my students are showing up. And I would say even less than that are showing up consistently.
Have you talked to families or teachers about that, hoping their kids can actually participate in school?
So it really just depends on where your kids attend, if they're used to doing any sort of online learning in the past, or if this is all new to them. And I think also just letting our kids know it's going to be okay moving forward. Maybe this looks uncomfortable, feels uncomfortable, physically, mentally, emotionally, but this will pass. We're already seeing some cases change. We're seeing that hope on the horizon, and it's not over yet. So we want to be safe. We want to be educated and informed that we're not in this alone. We're all, if you're willing to give it your best, just to kind of instill that in our kids too, that this might not be fun. We hope to never be here again, but we want you to learn. And with education too, we want them to get the social, I want my little girls to make friends and to be able to see their teachers smile. But at the same point, we want to stay healthy and we want to, to live to see another day. Not every family can say that right now.
Absolutely. These are challenges most schools never thought they'd face. I think most families never really thought we would face. And I just want to thank you so much again for all of your reporting in education.
Thank you.